Well, ladies and gents, myself and Nikki are back for another review. We've only got, what, six of these left, which is pretty crazy. And a lovely score there for Mr. Jacob Kiraz back in business, after a pretty slow sort of month, but I think it's probably coincided like I thought it would with Kiraz, with Preston, with Burton and also Galvin. And then Bronson Sherry absolutely crushed it as well, mate. The Dogs played so much better in this, and thoughts on them, and then thoughts on the Manly boys as well. Because after a good win last week, it seems to be the way, isn't it? After a Storm win, you then come out pretty flat the next week, eh?
Yeah, it seems to be that. I mean, they not that I've done it much in the past, but my tipping this year has been an absolute disgrace
Yeah,
because of that.
agreed.
I think I got this one right though. Pick the Bulldogs there, but yeah, you would have thought the Manly would have put up a bit more of a fight in this one, but yeah, second half especially, just absolutely nothing from them.
Yeah, they looked okay in the first half, didn't they? And definitely fell away from that one. But yeah, a little line break late for Preston owners is a bit of a sigh of relief, I'd say for him, mate. And surprisingly enough, in a game where they dominated, he lobbed out about 35 tackles in the first half, and they used him in this one as well. Like Galvin actually passed him. They used him short, went out the back a little bit less, and until it was kind of the correct play. So I think they found the happy medium, which will work well for Carraz and also for Preston there and Galvin even.
Yeah, 49 tackles in a game that they absolutely demolished is pretty wild. I'm not sure where they found 49 tackles from.
Yeah, I think it was
Uh,
just yeah. I think it was 33 with like 5 minutes to go in the first half. It was crazy. So slowed down the second, but a little DCE for Mitchy boy in there with a 59 as well.
Getting last second junk 40-20 points.
Hey, what do you think with the half position in those cheapy ranges? We're going to get Wishart as well, mate, with the Hughes injury. I know you're pretty upset about that one, and fair play, mate. He's the cheaper one of the four. Then you've got Boyd, the most expensive, and then sort of Galvin and Humphreys should be back next game. Where would you go in that range?
So I was on Team Galvin this week and I brought him in. So I was on
Yeah,
Team
good work.
Galvin the week before and I didn't move on it and they all scored around the same. And then this week again, they all scored around the same. I think
Yeah,
Boyd had 47 or something like that.
47.
I did check. It was like, okay, because I was that was the two I was comparing.
Hmm.
Humphreys
And cheaper
obviously
too.
out.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So I'm counting it as a double win. Every point over when you're more expensive counts double or something. But yeah, Wishart as well. He was the star cheapie last year when he got
Yeah.
that 2 month run in the halves and was yeah, kind of well outperformed expectations, I think. So at 350k, something like that, he's definitely really interesting. In that middle range of not quite a pure cash out, but still a lot of, a good bit of value compared to the 450, 500 K guys there. So yeah,
Hmm.
he's interesting. It's just at this point, do you have the trades to jump on somebody like a Wishart who's not a guaranteed somebody that you want to play in your 17 every week at this stage? Last year he was great through that middle period of the season where you can have these cheapies and you don't have to rely on him for those big scores. And yeah, maybe it's a bit questionable if you want to play him every week, but in terms of cash outs go, if you've got the cash to go up to the 350s rather than 250s, he's a great option.
Yeah, the only kind of way I see him being the correct play, because you'd say, yeah, you're on Team Galvin. Some people are going to be on Team Humph, and it's pretty similar there. And then if the Warriors can kind of work it out, like Boyd's scoring near 50 without them playing super well, so he'll be good also. But it's more around a couple of people have asked me like, oh, should I? I'm at 5, 4, 6 type of trades, and I want to get Yo. Like he had a really good, nice game there, and I can't go like Hughes straight to him or something like that. So
Mm.
maybe Wishy is the
Yeah.
guy that you could go to, like McEwen was this week at that sort of 300 odd. There you get you get a score in your someone that could score in your 17 every week, plus get that upgrade. That's probably the only way I'd look at it. But what do you think, mate? Do
Yeah,
you
the,
need to
the,
have
the, the kind
probably
of cash
five
down,
trades to do that?
yeah, like a cash down from a
Or
Finu type to make
yeah.
100k and then go up, where it sounds really good on the surface, but yeah, can you use a trade for that if you've got a handful left? Because we've seen the last few weeks, people dropping like flies.
Yeah.
It's one that could come back to haunt you if you do
Mm.
it, and then you've got no trades left for the last couple of weeks, and you're having to play short, or you're playing a King Tongia and De Silva and these guys, and yeah, it's definitely trade dependent and team dependent at this stage. Or if it happened 2 months ago, like early everybody would be on him. At this stage, it's kind of difficult, I think, but
Mm.
I can
Yeah, if
definitely
you've got,
see the scenario where it's a really good move.
I think in the last 3 weeks we've had sort of four or five really relevant
Mhm.
percentage wise, injuries, and therefore trade out. So with 6 rounds to go now, if you're like to say half people have Hughes. Thankfully, it sounds like we haven't heard anything further from Haas, so hopefully he's okay. But if you're locking in Hughes as an out, that puts you down at sort of like a 3 or 4. And if we do get one relevant injury a week, you're going to be short
Mhm.
likely for the
Yeah.
last couple of rounds. Let's just say you've got the Fainus or whoever else to cover
Mhm.
in your 17, but that's 20 or 30 less than what other people can get. And then if you do play short in the final rounds, it does make it tough. But it's obviously a balancing act and a hope that you get enough luck with injuries and everything like that as well, mate. Tough situation. But mate, we got Turbo, we got 46 from him. Pretty solid to be fair in the loss. He had that nice line break and then the try
Mhm.
assists on the running over to the right hand side. So I like that he's got that switch ability, but missed a couple of really tough tackles on Bronson Sherry, which wasn't good enough. And what are your thoughts on Lehigh at the back? He's looked pretty awful, I think, the last month for how good we have seen him at fullback. Will they switch
Yeah.
back?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. Um, the other option is they put Cola at the back, who's always been
Yeah.
electric there and never got the option. Because the Tom at the centers has been working. This is one of the games that make them go back to the drawing board though and kind of think about, like,
Yes,
do
that's
we
right.
need to do we need to make changes? What can we do? They're hanging on just outside the eight, I think. And yeah, a game like this will make them think, is this actually going to help us get where we need to go? Maybe the options put Cola there and try something different, or resort to Turbo going back there. And hopefully if he does, this has given him a bit of, got some miles in his legs. He looks fitter and better running now. So if he does go back to fullback, maybe he can uh, show a bit more than he did beforehand. But the tackle base and the run base he gets at center is, from a fantasy perspective, pretty nice. So yeah.
Yeah, for a game where he had 2 minutes of anything good to still lob a
Mm,
46 and an absolute thrashing is, yeah, I still do like him at centre, but Garrick moving back to the wing in these types of games is pretty diabolical when your team gets beat. Like there's nothing's gonna go your way. And I was having a little whinge to you before,
mm.
and you're like, well, at least he's not injured. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But
Fair.
yeah, it's tough. Like these types of guys that I got him, Nwangi Tuaze, they're just kind of plodding and they have that upside and potential, but yeah, their teams just aren't performing that. Like both them and the Roosters kind of just sitting outside the eight and okay one week and awful the next. And yeah, they're the guys that you could definitely look to move on from, but then also keeping your side. But in this one I had to play him this week and you're getting a 20. Last week was a 35 with a try. So it's like you can play the LKTs and Fainus and get similar scores at times. So he's a frustrating one and one I'll entertain selling, but I think similar boat to all, you need probably 5 trades plus to look at anything like him, mate.
Yeah, I sold him a couple of weeks ago before the big carnage happened,
Yeah.
when I had green dots to sell. So I'm happy that I've sold him thus far based on the scores. But like you said, in a couple of weeks, I might be wishing, damn, I wish he'd still, I wish I still had those green dots or those additional trades to use now. But this is where the likes of a Karaz kind of stands out. Obviously, you got the trade and it's a massive score, but the offloads just gives him this extra base that a lot of the other wingers don't have. That he can be kept quiet and not be doing a lot of it, not be doing a lot of in sorry, not being doing a lot in attack, but he'll
Yeah.
still find a way to throw some offloads out the back and pick up some, cheap junk points that way and keep him above the 20s where yeah, Garrick did really nothing. He got a turnover for somebody just passing it straight to
That
him towards
intercept,
the
yeah.
end, so that was nice. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's just nothing going on there at all for him.
my little grievance.
Not even a goal. Not even a goal.
Yeah, that was close actually. My little grievance this week has been the flat slash marginal forward balls have just been absolutely cooked. My players that week. We had that couple of TB line break. He was away, Garrick, and they called that back. And we had the Nico Hines try assist as well, and he was held up by a bloody inch. That was tough. And then you had I don't know if Edwards or Clear. Oh, I didn't have Cleary's captain. And he throws that 3 meter forward ball out to the winger, gets the ball back for the line break, try assist to Edwards. I was like, where's the justice here, boys? Come on. Come on. Anyway, I'm over this game.
There was the one
Let's
that
go,
Herbie
Carl.
got. There was one that Herbie got a few weeks ago when he did that big run and then
Oh, the
gave it
pass back
off
to
and
him.
then got passed back to him. So I'm taking a little bit. It's like I got some guys get some luck this week. So swings and roundabouts.
Always just depends which side you're on, 100%.
Exactly.
Mate, in the Raiders game, we've got Tapane and Hosking. We got 51 minutes out of Taps this week, but unless they're going to be in that attack, like Hosking got a couple of LBAs, but both those guys, the minutes were there, which was good. We're happy with a 51. Anyway, 51 to 55 is solid for Taps, but when you're not in that attack, mate, the tackle numbers there, 24 for him, only 33 for Hosking. When you put on that many points, it does make it hard. So yeah, Hosking back to earth and then Taps to 46. It's just, as I said, a lot of those guys to put on Garrick and Nawa that are pretty middling when you've got it's a little bit annoying when you've got other players like Kuipers Ball and Fogarty really doing the business. The keeper Kuipers Ball, remember Mitch? He's a keeper. Keeper. That means you keep him, you don't sell him. Anyway.
Keepers Paul? Is that Keepers
Yeah,
Paul?
keep peaceful. I like it. Instead of Kai. Mate, he was incredible. They go on bye next week, don't they? So 100% a hold, isn't he?
So long, yeah. I'll be glad to not have to watch him. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think, I mean, the Knights aren't particularly relevant now, other than him, after Lucas went down.
Jax is
So,
fun at
yeah,
48. He had 3 good games in a row at fullback. He's getting involved, which is nice. One try assist, kicking goals as well. So, with Hastings going out, he got the goal kicking back. So yeah, it makes him a little bit more relevant, but priced at what, 46, 47 now. Fogarty was a really good one to own, and it's more just a question now of how many Raiders you have for their bye coming up in a few weeks. But that's a pretty cool stat line there. 2 try assists, 8 goals, 703 kick meters. But
that's
you're
him.
going to have games like this for Fogs, hey? It's like high
Yeah.
40s, and then you get the 60 odd, which puts him to that 56 average, which is great.
Yeah, he's just, you barely need to watch him, and you just know he's racking up the points in the background, and then you'll get the additional try assists here and there to move from a 50 to a 67. But yeah,
And a good
just
team. Makes it easy.
chipping along. You barely notice him, and then he's on 60 plus points. It's a
Mm.
very, very useful player to have.
Yeah. Matt Timigo, really impressive up there with a 73 for the few people that did jump on. I know Mr. Austin had a uh, pretty average week. I think he bought and captained Hughes. That was tough, and I think he had Jaden Sewer, but he had Timoko. So the pod play works on one of them and loses on the other. So luck can play its part. But he's been awesome. Hey, the last sort of 6 weeks, Timoko. Was a great buy back then for those like him that did. And Hudson Young probably slightly underwhelming for the type of game. He did get a try assist off the boot, I believe, and then a line break a little bit later. But I suppose just offloads and base just a tad low, and when you paid 760 for him, it's still solid, right? It's
Yeah,
like the half situation, but a little bit better.
I don't know if it's a trend, but it just feels like the last few weeks, a lot of the edges, and maybe other than Kai Pierce-Paul here, the edges just haven't seemed to be scoring the way that we'd normally expect them to. Like a lot of the gun, your Prestons and Crichtons, Hosking, Young, they're not,
More difficult, hey, to score.
yeah, just kind of at that late like 40. Like Eli Katoa the last couple of weeks has been around the 40 point mark. Just, I don't
Yeah,
know,
true.
just seems like
45.
a trend that if they're not scoring tries,
Mm,
it's difficult to get up to those, keeper scores that you kind of want out of these. Because these guys you want to be in the 50s, 50 plus
yeah.
just from base, and then they get the attacking stats on top of that. Just doesn't seem to be working out that way for a lot of the guys the last couple
Mm.
of weeks, but I mean, it'll turn around, I'm
Some of the games
sure.
can be some of the games can be weird when it's lopsided scoring or something like that. It's like if you're not involved in that, you're kind of just chilling for a fair bit of the game. And you saw Huddy had his couple of moments where he got some attack, but outside of that, everything else is a little bit down, and yeah, it can be that way. But mates, it was great to see really the return of Jaden Campbell and Karaz this week after both sort of sitting in the 40s mark. So moving back to that Titans game, 81 for him, just a real all-round effort. It was great to see him running the footy again after the week before, 35, 33 meter run game. So yeah, the big kick meters of 530, and then the couple of line breaks, a couple of try assists, and it was coming off Jamin Jolliffe, the exact like carbon copy play with that left-handed offload. So a little bit more of that, JJ. And for those that bought him a couple of weeks ago, he's absolutely flying. And they lost Randall in this one, which was tough to see. Yeah, a couple of guys go down, and that helped for his minutes. But yeah, a mid-range guy that's worked out, and good to see Fisher Harris back in the good books, but also like really needed to because the wires have fallen off a bit, haven't they? It's an
Yeah,
interesting situation.
speaking of tipping going wrong, I don't know how many
Yeah, that's
people would
right.
have got the would have picked the Titans in New Zealand.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I With Campbell, it's nice. I think this is the first time he's had a good score since I've owned him, so that's nice. Knew he
Yep.
had it in him, so turned around. And just unfortunately, I paid 730K or whatever it was a month ago for him, where I could have got him
Yeah,
for
true.
600K this week. But never mind. Never mind. I
Pretty
do
similar
like
with
wasting
Kiraz,
money.
eh? I think I
Yeah.
bought him probably 70 or 80 up, and yeah, we got the
Mm.
spoils in this one, which was good. Halasima made a 60 from him at a pretty reasonable price at 555. Has been showing his attack in recent weeks, and the one that annoyed me, mate, was Aaron Clark going back off with 10 minutes to go in a tight
Mm.
affair. I thought he was sweet for a 60 62 minute, and yeah, it was off for that. There was no injury or anything, was there?
Not that I know of, but apparently he did the same last week. Somebody said he went off for the last 5 minutes or so with a bit of,
Yeah.
although they said he looked like he had a bit of an injury last week.
Hmm.
I haven't heard anything this week, but
It's weird
yeah.
to, yeah, 10 minutes to
Everyone
go.
has him. Again, he's one of the players that I don't really watch or pay attention to because so many
Yeah.
people have him that they don't need him to stand out.
Yeah. Both for more, mate.
Oh.
I was thinking he might be Cat 1, and that could have killed some people for obviously that score of 21, and then next week, and I think he's him and Drinkwater the highest owned players I don't own,
Mm.
so I was hoping that he was going to miss next week, but wasn't to be. He picked up a
I,
43, but
yeah.
he's gone back to back lowish scores, and as you said with Eli Katoa as well, a couple of guys
Yeah.
just going a tad bit lower.
Yeah,
Would
he
you
was
still
the
look
other. He was
him
the
on a
other one
buy?
I was. He was the other one I was thinking of because all the guys I own, all the edges I own, were going pretty low this week.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, buy at 650 or whatever he's going to be. It's a nice price.
yeah, I don't see why not. Like in terms of centers behind Herbie. I mean, who else? Well, Herbie and now Karaz, but with the Garricks and the Wangani and all these other guys at center, he's
Mm.
still probably going to be one of the top scoring centers from here on out. So if you don't have one, or if you need one, then you can still look to get him. But he's one of these guys where I think, again, at this, if you don't have him at this stage, you're probably set and you're mostly just reacting to injuries. So if you've lost Hughes this
Yeah.
week, I don't think you would go Hughes to Burma. Like it's probably just
Is it
not.
Katoa for you, or can you get there?
I'm probably I'll have my rant later on about my
All right.
trades, but I didn't get Yo this week because I got this guy or I've been meaning to ask you. I keep hearing about this guy, this amazing, mystical, perfect fantasy player. He scores 100 every week. It doesn't matter if he's injured. He'll always play big minutes, and if you don't have him, you're not a fantasy player. You're a complete idiot. And I thought his name was Payne Haas, but I must be wrong because I just got Joe Tapani version 2 in
Yeah.
uh, in my team this week, and yeah, that meant that I couldn't get to Isaiah Yo. So it'll probably be my move this week is used to Yo.
That's fair. Yeah, guys, I'm going to jump off in a sec. It's Mum's birthday, so I'll let Nicky run the show, and he's going to go through his team and strategy in a second. But yeah, so Randall's is selling this one, and then Boyd 47. That yeah, maybe you can still go for him, but there's Galvin and Humphreys and Wishart as well. But for the Panthers, you just have to make sure you get Cleary, basically. He's 75 is awesome. And then Isaiah Yeo will be, yeah, pretty big target. He did get a rest there, and I think it sounds like they're going to try and manage him a little bit as they go. Like there might be games where Cleary goes off 5 or 10 early, or if they're able to, just to make sure they're ready for finals. But yeah, Isaiah was awesome. Got a bit of ball playing back, but I thought he just ran the footy more than we've seen from him for a while. Edwards, we've got 61 from him. Just doing it pretty easy at the moment. Hey, like, do you have him as a pretty decent buy still if you're like, upgrading a Nawa or a Garrick to Edwards seems pretty sexy for me at the moment.
Yeah, if you've got the trades, that does sound pretty nice. But again, Edward, he's going to he'll be up quite a bit again this week in price, and
Yeah,
he does have the 30s and stuff in him. We've seen it over the years that he'll have these big games and he'll have his ordinary games as well. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. If you got him a couple of weeks ago, you're absolutely laughing. He's now getting to that point of, yeah, if he keeps it up, great. But I've fallen into the Dylan Edwards trap before, where you
yeah.
think he's in such a good run of such a good vein of form, and then I mean, he's still always good, but does he produce from the fantasy point of view is the question.
It's a less of a pretty price at 650.
Mm.
Adam Dewey, 49 for him in 61. He sort of had Latu Fainu get hooked. Or got moved to the middle for like 15, 20 minutes. So Dewey went and defended and played out at six. Had a beautiful pass over the sideline, which was nice. And yeah, generally I do like the role. 60 minutes, goal kicking. He actually kicked a bit in general play to get him another 4 points, which was nice. Generally, I think at that price point, he's up now, but yeah, he'll do a job for us and covers a few positions, so I'm fine there without him being outstanding. Especially when I was picking Edwards over him last week. But the rest of the Tigers, like I actually like the look of Terrell May on
Mm.
that left hand side. I think he helps the Tigers, but yeah, they just have no go for what I think is one of the Tigers fans was like, "What do you think it is?" And it just feels like they have no punch in the middle. Like Terrell's really solid. Fanua Pole when he was in form was kind of their punch guy. But like Twal, they're not it. That's probably their only thing that's missing. But yeah, neither here nor there for them. And made the sort of most terrible fantasy game overall. It wasn't really relevant in terms of too many players, but the Duncans, the Nico Hines, 4 point downgrade. That was nice. Fanua Blake, 41. McInnes was, where was he? Solid
47.
enough at 47. But yeah, just pretty gross overall, mate. And just the
You
defense
got
from Bunnies really was the big thing. The Sharks were down there
mm.
at all times and just couldn't get over the line.
Yeah, I mean, and as a Heinz owner, you
Yeah,
went
it's
into
tough.
this game thinking, right,
Come
surely,
on, seven
surely,
65.
here we
Yeah.
go, here we go. And yeah, kind of just, I mean, this is what we've been saying all year. 48 with very little in attack is still pretty good. You take these as the low games. It's just the high games are few and far between. We got a taste a couple of weeks ago with that 90 odd,
Yeah.
and yeah, just a teaser, just that teaser to make sure that you keep him and keep him in your team for the rest of the year, and
They got a good run, thankfully,
hope that he
but
can replicate we can replicate something like that.
yeah, my problem is I've had that Price is turned back for a forward pass apparently, which is flat
Mm.
or close to it. Which so yeah, how many times they just not picked them up, but this time they did. And then he had the try where I thought he was over for all money, and then just
Yeah,
gets it up,
that was hard.
and then he had I think it was 100 meters kicking each, and then Trindle kicked for like 560 or something stupid. I was like, what? Why did he just turned
Hmm.
into a runner? And thankfully, ran for 113 and got the tackle break. So the good thing with him is we can see it, can't we? That there's weeks where he can do it in different ways, and he gets the goal kicking. So 48 with nothing, as you said, is really solid. Fanua Blake run up the tunnel, lower leg injury in game, so he's just copping at the moment. He's just in the same mold as like Tarpany and stuff. But it's just like frustrating scores, but like, is he worthy enough of a sell at this like 46, 47 price point? Probably not, but he's annoying. We had Brayley, 53, pretty decent one there. Of course, he picks up a try for us non-owners, but just a lower game for him, back to sort of normal run meters, and they had the footy so much that he was didn't have to tackle as much as well. So does seem well involved, mate. I still think there's some 60 plus games in him for the rest of the year. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a bit expensive to be buying him, but if you've got the cash and you want to splash it, that's fine. But I don't know. Maybe Harry Grant at a cheaper price with no Hughes
Yeah, what do you think of
should be.
Harry? He was the winner of the week, I think. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was somebody I kind of thought about.
It's got him at the
Uh,
start of the year, right? So
yeah, this was my whole. I know you probably don't have time to listen to me ramble, but the options of not getting Haas was to get a Yo and maybe a Grant or Watson type guys because I don't have any hooker cover
yeah.
or mid cover anymore. Or I've got
Right.
Talent De Silva, but I'm not counting him as mid cover.
No, he's eight.
So it gave me if I passed on Haas and got a Yo, that meant I could have got say a Grant or Watson or Carrigan, these guys that I was thinking of,
Mm.
which would have given me a bit better depth rather than Haas where I didn't have the money and I got Galvin instead to help me raise a bit of money to do some trading. Although then Hughes got injured and it didn't matter, so I've got 700
Yeah.
on me anyway. But yeah, Grant, I'd maybe have him over Brayley, especially with Hughes being out at that cheaper price for the rest of the run home. But Brayley can still, he wouldn't be surprised if he was the
100K, wasn't it?
top. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Well, that's all the games that I've now covered all of them now. So we'll leave Nikki in your we'll leave you guys in Nikki's capable hands, and he's going to go through his team and some strategy and sort of trade thoughts now that he's got Hughes out and kind of a bit of a holding week for both of us, mate. Let's love to see how you end up chatting about it and see how you can get out of the fives and into the fours and into the threes over the next few weeks, mate. So I'll leave you there and thanks for tuning in, everyone. Keep it going and show Nikki some love with these trades.
Hey, Jamie.
Yeah.
All right, he's gone. And I can just hear everybody turning off in the background now that we've got the you're stuck with me for the next however little minute, however long I want to complain about my side. We're still in those 5,000s. I thought this could be the week that we got into the top 5,000, but that first game, Jerome Hughes going down. The last few weeks have been murder in terms of injuries, and that really, really just set the week off in a kind of bad mood. Eli Katoa as well struggled. We ended up just under 1,000, which I think it probably. I haven't looked at really many other scores. We're recording this just as the games finishes. I imagine 1,000 will probably be around average for the week with Campbell's and Carraz's. Some big scores around there. A lot of very high owned people scoring well. So yeah, probably a little bit under. I've made what, a couple of hundred ranks? Yeah, a couple of hundred ranks. So we're slowly but surely creeping up, but we are also running lower on trades. So we can have a look at what the trades were. Where are we? Here we go. Now, before I get the commenters on my back again after I was joking about Payne Haas, it was just a joke. I know he's amazing. I really wanted him in my team. He did talk last week that I was still a little bit worried about his back and is he going to be fully firing Payne Haas, playing the good minutes and really exerting himself while he's on the field and it just didn't really look like it, 55 and 51 minutes, 49 minutes, 51 minutes, whatever it ended up being. You're not getting what you're paying for him if if that's what he's going to give us. And the whole talk about him going up for massages beforehand. Hopefully, this ankle thing turns out to be a non-story. I haven't heard anything since, so hopefully he's all good. And but yeah, just another thing onto the injury list. And like I was saying, but the issue with me bringing Payne Haas in was that I have no mid cover anymore. So I had Tino still as a red dot once I brought in Cleary and Haas. So he was going to be my looper, and I used him to loop Noah, and then when he went low, I brought Galvin in with the thoughts that Hughes is down, so I'll go Hughes to Yeo, and that'll give me that mid cover, and then I've got some additional half cover there because the thing that was concerning me with no mid cover is Terrell May's got a buy coming up, Tappaney's got a buy coming up. I need mids. Yes, I could move Clark down, but then I'm playing Talon De Silva, and I don't want to play Talon De Silva. So money wise, because once I did the Haas and Cleary trades, I had basically no cash. So I had Tino who'd burned about 60, 70K in the 1 week I owned him. So I'm looking in the 500 ranges, and I was looking quite closely at Jermaine Hopgood as an option for that coverage. But the other option, like I was talking about, was to say, look, okay, if I didn't get Haas and got Isaiah Yeo, I'd have an extra 150K to play around with. And then that Tino trade could have gone to a Grant, to a Watson, to a Carrigan, these types of guys to give me more flexibility around with the team. And like quite like, would you rather have Payne Haas than Isaiah Yeo in your fantasy team? Of course, absolutely. But it was a legitimate question to think about. Is my overall team going to be better if I didn't get him and I got a Yo and I got a more expensive mid that I'm going to need to play in the next few weeks anyway? And that was where we were talking last week around it about again, I still the way I look at fantasy or think about fantasy is always based on price and value. And it's burned me a lot this year by getting guys like Campbell at their top price, Drinkwater at their top price. I've kind of gone away from my philosophy at times, and I think it's ended up hurting me. And this was an instance where is 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 Haas better than Yo? Yes. Is he 150K better? Well, I mean, maybe. And I went for the I went for the big upside play because Haas could bang out hundreds every week. We've seen it. We know how amazing he is. So that's the road I went down. But they could also score roughly the same. We've seen, is this the version of Haas we're going to get? We've seen we know what Isaiah Yo can do. If they end up scoring roughly the same from here on out, then Yo was the better move because the rest of my team's going to be stronger. Now, in a lot of ways, it kind of becomes a moot point because I'm going to get Yo in anyway, moving Hughes on. Uh, which is the plan. I mean, we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the week. Maybe that if Haas is injured, that changes things, and maybe I'll have different thoughts. I could go to a Isaiah Katoa, that type, but again, I still have this mid hooker gap that I need to fill. So getting Yo in just seems to make a lot of sense. And then I think I'm kind of done. I kind of have to be done in terms of making trades. That'll leave me with four for the rest of the year. And doesn't feel like a lot, does it? Doesn't feel like that's going to be enough, seeing how people have been falling. And my issue as well is with my lack of team value is the depth that we've got on the bend of the depth we've got on the end of the bench here. The weeks where if we're going to have to play a Fainu, a King Tonga, a De Silva, they're not going to be very good weeks. So yeah, it's a concern we'll worry about, but I am trying to work through the buys and not having to deal with it. So I didn't have anybody on a buy this week, which helped, and I was able to loop with Tino. I don't have anybody on a buy this week, so again, I shouldn't be relying on these guys. But when the Raiders have a buy, that's not going to be great. When the Tigers have a buy, that's not going to be great. But it's things that we're going to have to worry about later on, and that's where, like we talked about, getting say a Wishart in could be really valuable because he's going to be around that cash out price, but he'd generally be happier than we're playing him than a Fainu or a King Tonga. But I don't think we've got the luxury to be making those trades at the moment. So we'll just hold on and plug away and hope we get a bit of luck. think that's what's going to get us up into these, the high thousands. It's just some of these not pods. I don't think Galvin's probably the only real pod I've got. For the guys like the Tapanes and Hoskings and Drinky and then these guys, not everybody owns Hines, not everybody owns. If you can get some big scores out of them, that could push me up and avoid getting these injuries. That was the worst part. I mean, the injuries mid-game. If he got injured 5 minutes to go, that would still be really annoying, but at least he would have had a 50 odd out of him rather than a 27 when he gets injured bang on half time. So those ones really, really kill you, especially with Hughes not being that highly owned. It's a real kick when those are the guys that are getting injured. And same with team bringing Tino in. He was a popular bring in, but he wasn't that heavily owned, and he gets injured in the first 10 minutes. You're just going to struggle. You're not going to make ranks if you when you've got these guys going down. Um, Probably not a whole lot else for me to really cover here. Everyone else we've talked about or is just kind of standard. Mark, again, I don't have the flexibility to look to move him on. So you hope that he can get back to these the or scoring some tries. If he scores some tries, he'll get good scores. He does look like he's trying to get involved, roaming around, and if they just get him the ball, maybe prefer it if he moved back into the centres, gets his hand on the ball more often and can create more from there. I don't know if it's something the Roosters will look to do, but they did lose that game that they should have won, so maybe they'll look to make some changes. So hopefully he can come back. Yeah, other than that, we're just hoping we can hold some trades for the next couple of weeks and then make some moves maybe around the bye weeks. Like, can I afford to have Tapine and Hosking out on the same week? Like I'm you're that would have meant this week I'm playing Mark and Fainu, so that's not great. So yeah, do I look to move these guys on when it comes to their bye? Possibly. But in order to do that, we're going to need to avoid injuries. So yeah, cool. I'll keep my bit short. There's probably nobody left anyway, so I'm just talking to myself. And I'll say goodbye to myself as well. And see you next week. Bye.